That's true. Naked Palpatine.
Oh, you pick that one. Fresh out of the clone tank, nude Palpatine is my
Well, that's the first thing I think of when you say Dark Empire Palpatine.
Hello, everybody, and let's wall crawl. I don't know what the catchphrase is gonna be for this. Welcome back to the Ultimate Universe of Marvel, which I've read nothing else of except for this. But we're on issues 6 to 21 of Ultimate Spider-Man, which is by far my favorite Spider-Man story yet. Before even getting into it, this is quintessential Spider-Man to me. This is everything that Spider-Man is and should be. And I have no complaints with anything that this comic book tries to do. I'm in full support of everything it does so far. I don't really see any flaws with it. I love it. It screams Spider-Man to me. And I definitely think it's worth a read if you haven't already. If my first video didn't convince you, please go read it. Please go read it. It's so worth your time. If you read no other Spider-Man comics, read these ones. They will touch your heart if you have one, and you should. Right. Issue 6 of this is where we get the web shooters, that Spider-Man usually makes. It's usually not organic, only in Sam Raimi's, but, and we also, the only thing of interest in this issue, I mean, all of it's good, but the only thing of particular interest I decided to write down was that the web shooters were originally Peter's dad's idea, or not the web shooters necessarily, but like the adhesive that he would use for it. Issue 7 is a fight, I think, with, what was it, I actually don't remember what happened in issue 7, to be honest. Sorry. That's my bad. I'm not good with comic book reviews, guys. Issue... Oh, actually, sorry, I forgot to mention, in issue 6, one thing that is, I mean, this has always been obvious, but it's, a bit more explicit here, that the jokes that Spider-Man makes now and throughout the rest of the franchise and everything is a way to deflect fear. So, like, Spider-Man doesn't just quip and joke around because he's confident. It's actually the exact opposite, Batman is stoic, serious and all that, confident in his abilities. Spider-Man's not. Even though he's a superpowered being, he's not. He uses humor when he's scared to deflect, That's why he quips around so much. Just so we can ignore the fear within him as he goes up against these enemies, so I like that. Also, the nightmare of not being able to save Ben, because it's something that Spider-Man deals with, it's something that Batman deals with, just constant grief over a life that could have been saved. But in issue 8, we get to see Peter getting his job at the Daily Bugle, which was a lot of fun, and out of all the versions I've seen thus far, I prefer this one. In issue 9, we see that Peter has a lot of issues being Spider-Man and makes a lot of mistakes. Because it's early Peter Parker. It's like year 1 Batman. Mistakes are made. So, we get to issue 10, and Spider-Man meets Kingpin and Electro. So that's fun. And then the other thing, and again, what this comic excels in beyond all others, is these small, quiet moments. Those are the ones that stick out the most. In issue 10, we have a conversation between Aunt May and Peter. And the conversation begins with Aunt May going, sorry, do you like me? And I don't want to spoil anything else than that, but it was just a powerful little moment between two people, which is what this comic series excels in. Issue 11 is more going after Kingpin and everything. And then issue 12, Electro and Fisk fight Spider-Man, and Spider-Man loses. And then Spider-Man Peter Parker ditches MJ for a date because he's all bruised up. But it's okay, because issue 13 is an entire issue dedicated to Peter finally telling MJ the truth. That he's Spider-Man. And I love that about this comic series. Is it's slow. Not boringly slow, but it takes its time. Right? It took 6 issues for Spider-Man to even be the titular Spider-Man we know. It took to issue 13 for the relationship and friendship with Peter Parker and Mary Jane to flourish, and then to become romantic, and for her and for him to tell her the truth, which is that he's Spider-Man, and to be the only person so far that knows that truth. Also, Norman Osborn and, well, we haven't met him yet, but Doc Ock. But, you know, it's just that, it's the fact that it took an entire issue, just, you know, other things that would have been like, maybe a panel or two, you know, or something. It dedicated like a whole conversation, a whole issue, just to leading up to that. And I just loved it. It was wonderful. Issue 14, Doc Ock gets introduced, and we have mutant prejudice. So there's a lot of racism going on with mutants. Now, Peter Parker is not a mutant, but, you know, he has superpowers, and there's a lot of mutants in the Marvel universe, so people are bigoted against that, and so they're bigoted against Spider-Man. Also, we get introduced to Gwen Stacy, and she talks about superpowers. And Gwen Stacy's wonderful so far. Just a different take on her than I've ever seen her, whether it be Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse, or Amazing Spider-Man, or I haven't read too many comic books or anything, but this seems to be a different take on her, but I really like it, and I think she's great so far. Issue 15. One of the bullies of Peter for a long time now has begun to suspect, and has been connecting the dots, like that meme of the guy with all the stuff on the clipboard, going like, I can make it all work, believing that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. And he's right, of course, but everyone thinks he's crazy. So Flash tells him, why don't you just try to kick him in the back, or whatever, you know, while he's, you know, at his locker, and if he dodges it, then maybe you have something going on. Just be stealthy about it. And he does it, and Peter just gets hit and starts, you know, I think fake crying a little bit, because he's a superpowered guy now. And Gwen pulls a knife on the guy. She's like, you don't do that to people. And, you know, then she gets in trouble for it, unfortunately. But it was a very good moment. I get issue 16, and Craven's Australia now. I mean, it works, I suppose. He's kind of like, what's his name? Steve Irwin. But still, like, okay. I mean, I don't know if he, I don't know. It was weird. And then Gwen and Captain Stacy have this great scene at the precinct where he's yelling at her and grilling her for bringing a knife to school, and she goes, you didn't even ask me why. You kept criticizing me and lecturing me, but you never asked me why. What if I was attacked? What if I was assaulted? You don't know. You just assumed the worst on my part. And, you know, she talked about defending Peter and everything, and oh, it was just such a good scene. It was so good. This comic is so goated, guys. You don't understand. Issue 17, Mutants. Yeah, there's more stuff with that. Issue 18, Peter loses to Doc Ock pretty badly and considers quitting. Like, maybe I'm just not old enough to do this. Maybe I just shouldn't be doing this. Maybe I'm way in over my head. But he doesn't stop. Issue 19 is kind of continuing off of that, like, one big, gigantic storyline, but one thing of particular interest is that MJ gets a bit jealous of Peter because Gwen is concerned for his safety when she sees all the bruises and cuts on him because he just got in a big battle. But he just says, "Oh, I fell down the stairs," because that's always a great excuse. Issue 20, Peter Parker finally manages to defeat Doc Ock for the first time. So, good on him. Issue 21 is an addendum to that. Kraven the Hunter shows up to fight him. Right now, Kraven is not superpowered, so it takes a single punch to knock out Kraven the Hunter. So that's that. But then you have this phenomenal speech by Peter because the news reporter says, "Look, maybe we have all misjudged you. Why don't you set the record straight?" I mean, he doesn't talk too long. He doesn't want me in the spotlight, but he says, "Hey, I'm not here to hurt anybody. I'm just somebody smarter than me once told me, with great power comes great responsibility. And I'm just trying to do the best I can." It was a great scene. But the even greater scene was the scene afterwards, where Peter comes home at 3 a.m. in the morning with his Aunt May sitting at the table right next to the door, waiting for him to come home, and grills him because he first called Mary Jane, and Mary Jane said, "Oh, Peter's at the library." And Peter claimed he was at work all day, but she said she called work and said he wasn't there. Lies upon lies upon lies, all to protect her, but from her perspective, she has no idea what's going on. And also to understand Aunt May, she just lost her husband. She can't lose Peter too. And it's, again, a little small moment. It's not a big plot point. It's not a big story moment. It's just a really good moment. And in this comic series excels in those moments. But that's pretty much it. The story, of course, continues. We get 100-something issues to get through. And, of course, I'm reading other things between that. But that's where we're at right now. And it's a way to have content quicker because comic books are easier to read than a novel, and they can be finished much faster. But yeah, overall, 21 issues in, finished all the way up to issue 20, and I'm loving it. Loving it. It is the best version of Spider-Man I've ever read. It's highly worth your time. Anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Sharing episode a ton. Don't forget to subscribe. And remember, with great power comes great responsibility. Till next time.